to episode 4 of Win or Learn. My name is Paul of PTGS Music, as you hopefully know by now. And today my guest is Chris Moll of Bowl, but also previously of Northern Oak, as some of you may remember, also of the Ceilidh band Powerhouse, who have a dear place in both of our hearts. So welcome to the show, Chris. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. Reasonable Sunday so far?
Yeah, I've not really done a lot with it, but you know.
Apart from Final Fantasy, yeah?
Apart from Final Fantasy, yeah, I've been playing the hell out of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, so...
Happy days, happy days. Yeah, so for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, premise of the show, as the name might suggest, Win or Learn, is talking to musicians about their experiences out in the world of gigging and recording, etc. Things that have gone well that would count as victories, or things that they would count as lessons that didn't go quite as well as they might have done to a greater or lesser extent. So as has become the format, leave it open to you. Do we want to start on a win, start on a learn? What are you thinking?
Let's start on a win. Let's start with a positive.
That's been the general theme, but yeah, go for it.
I think probably for me the biggest win that I can point to, when I was thinking about this, I definitely tried to caveat it in my own brain, because music has very much always been a team thing. It's always a collaborative thing. So I feel personally, I don't want to take credit for things. You know, I'm always like, it wasn't just me that did it,
yes.
It was a whole group effort that did it. But the thing I think I can point to, first of all, is with Northern Oak. So in 2011, we played Bloodstock Festival.
Yep.
But the thing is, we didn't go to the Metal to the Masses programme. We just... Basically, I sent them a CD, I sent them a little press kit and said, we'd like to play Bloodstock, please. And they came back and said, yeah, you're on.
Sweet.
So we didn't do the whole Metal to the Masses. We didn't go through the whole Battle of the Bands thing, which was a calculated decision, because I don't think we would have really... Because our style was quite unique, I don't think we would have really worked in a Battle of the Bands situation. And at that point, the Sheffield one now is fantastic, and it's a big, it's a massive operation. I don't think it wasn't the same people running it in 2011, so it wasn't as sort of established as it is now.
Yeah, I've touched on the old Metal to the Masses and a few other things I've recorded, and the fact it was a less than upfront process, and it was... And together talked about the fact that the scene, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this particularly, it was very much, there were pockets of scene at that time, rather than, I'd say it's quite a healthy scene at this point.
No, definitely, yeah, I 100% agree. But yeah, for that for me was a pretty big win, and that we felt that music was strong enough, we kind of established ourselves enough as a band that we could just send the organisers our music and say, do you want to put us on? And yeah, got a slot on the New Blood stage, fantastic weekend, but it was a really great gig. Nothing went dramatically wrong. From what I gather, I think the sound wasn't brilliant at first, because obviously with Bloodstock, they're getting so many bands are coming through, and they're just like, get on stage, get set up, you've got 30 minutes, don't go over.
Yeah.
So I think what they did, we basically got on, and we were like, right, we've got to start playing at this point. And they sort of figured out the sound as the set went along.
Yeah.
But I remember it was a really big crowd, and there were people at the front wearing our t-shirt who I didn't know, and that was a delight for me.
Happy days.
Yeah. And we sold out of all the merch that we took, so it was a really great experience all round.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was the win aspect of that is that I went, well, I don't think Metal to the Masses is the right thing for us. I think we're good enough. I think we've played enough gigs. I think we've gotten our name out there enough that we have the strength. We can just say, do you want to put us on? And and have some success with that.
Yeah.
So that for me is a pretty big win, I think.
Yeah, it's how kind of like known the Metal to the Masses route is now. Because I know a few bands who've done a similar thing since then. I think Swamp Coffin played a few years back, literally just on the strength of their rep. One thing dawns on me, obviously, there's probably going to be a bunch of people listening to this who aren't familiar with Northern Oak.
True.
So, and particularly with the whole kind of go on and they'll figure out the sound as they're going. A lot more moving parts than your conventional metal band, he said leadingly.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah, so Northern Oak we started it in 2006. It was my first band at university when I first moved to Sheffield. And it was a progressive folk metal band. So we had, obviously I play guitar, we had a bass player, we had a drummer, we had a vocalist, sort of a harsh vocalist, but we also had a flute player who also played melodeon and bagpipes. Not all at the same time, I hasten to add, on different occasions. And we also had a keyboardist who then later played violin as well. So there was a lot going on. There were lots of songs where you'd have bits of lots of different sounds all coming together. And yeah, we spent 10 years, we did 3 albums and an EP, and yeah, it kind of... What's quite nice about looking back on it is I think there was quite a natural progression, because the first album was it got well received, it got well reviewed in Terrorizer and Zero Tolerance and stuff like that, but it was very much like me recording it on a laptop with like one microphone,
Yeah.
just like pointing a microphone at the drum kit, and then no click or anything, and the drummer just plays some stuff, and I'm like, cool, I'll make that work later, I guess.
Yeah. Fix it in post.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then the second album was a little bit more like we got the drums recorded at a proper studio, but it was still very much a sort of DIY, like I recorded everything at home and kind of put it all together. And then by the third album, we raised a bunch of money to do that one properly. So we went to Skyhammer Studio.
You did the Kickstarter, didn't you?
We did a Kickstarter, yes. Which, this is the thing again, that was 2014, 2013, so 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it was, at that time, I feel like Kickstarter wasn't as much of a thing.
Yeah.
And to be fair, even these days, I don't really see that many bands using it to raise money for the recording. I don't know if it's just specifically with like metal, like the metal scene. People kind of have a thing about it, like, oh, you should just have the money. You should just pay for it yourselves.
So you just chip away and you do make the best of what you got.
Yeah,
so.
you should just suffer it. And you know, I understand that. Like, but it's also the whole thing of Kickstarter is people basically giving you the money for the album before you've made the album.
Yeah.
And if they like your band and they want to hear new music from you, they'll be happy to do that. And it's, you know, I think it's, in some ways, it's very much, it's a leveler in the sense of, you can have some bands, they're in a band because they want to make music.
Yeah.
They might not have, you know, tons of savings or a very good job or rich parents or anything like that. So for those people, it might be that, yeah, raise the money through Kickstarter. That's the only way you can afford to do it. That's fine. You know, it should be okay. That should be an okay sort of approach. But yeah, we raised a bunch of money for that, and we did it in Skyhammer Studio, which is run by Chris Fielding, who was in Conan.
Yeah.
And like Primordial have recorded there, and like some really, really big bands have recorded there.
I think Boss Cloyd recorded there as well for Hope Your Enthusiasm.
They did, yes.
Heavy album.
Yeah, it was a very cool experience. But that was sort of like, yeah, we did that. We did an EP after that. The EP was cool because it was some of the people who backed the Kickstarter kind of leads on from it. Essentially, like, the reward was that we'd write them a song.
Yeah.
So we went, okay, well, you know, it turns out that we knew all the people who backed it. They weren't any strangers, they were all people that I knew. And we said, okay, well, what do you want the song to be about? So we kind of got, like, you know, the small, medium, large like, brief. So we had the small, which was where they said, we just want a song about owls. Just owls, you know, whatever you want to do with that. So I obviously took that and went, okay, so we're going to do a song about the Batman villain, the Court of Owls.
Yeah, I was literally going to say, is that, yeah.
Yeah. And then the medium one was more of a personal thing for somebody. They wanted a kind of a personal, like they sort of gave us a bunch of info, but it was about their life and sort of what they'd been going through. And honestly, I think with that one, Martin, who wrote the lyrics, absolutely, and the vocals, just smashed it out of the park. Did a fantastic job with it. And I still get choked up listening back to that. So.
Yeah.
And then the large was, we had an incredibly long email where he basically wanted the entire history of the Isle of Man in a song. So we sort of went, you know, I don't think we can really achieve that, but we'll do our best. And it ended up being like a 10 and a half minute long song. So, you know, we did put quite a lot into it.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't like, it's 3 minutes and you're done. That's
yeah.
It, you know.
Let's put Isle of Man in the chorus and you'd be happy with that.
Yeah. There was some Manx in there. There was some Manx language in the lyrics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I think it was a good sort of 10-year run. You know, it kind of came to a natural end. Essentially, people, you know, choosing to move on, and we kind of let's just go out on a high, basically, which I think is sort of fair enough. You know, you want to. I mean, obviously, you know, with Lamenia, you were like, I want to decide when I'm going to put this project to the end. You know, so yeah, it was a good time there. It was a good time.
Right. So to bring it back to the beginning of this bit, so by the time you did the Bloodstock thing, you've already got like 5 years of gigging and recording and like 1 or 2 albums under the belt?
Two albums, yeah, because the second one, Monuments, came out in 2010.
Yeah.
So we had 2 albums, we had sort of degree of press coverage. It was tricky because it wasn't, you know, none of us were particularly good at like getting gigs. So, like our current vocalist in Ball, who's Joe Stamps, who you're aware of, is very good at like talking to people and like knowing people and sorting gigs out. And I'm not good at it. I'm you know, it's hard for me to like. I kind of always feel like it's going to be transactional. I'm like, you know, hello, I want something from you. You know?
Well, like you're in an RPG going, hello, here's my bit of dialogue. Here's your bit of dialogue.
Yeah. Your quest is give me a gig, please.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, we had sort of established, you know, ourselves. I think I think we put a lot of effort into it. We put a lot of hard work into it. I think we were quite good live. You know, it was one of those things where you're playing a metal gig and the sound guy's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sound check everyone, and then our flautist gets her flute out and he's like, what am I doing with this? You know, and there's all the other band just sitting around kind of just, you know, killing time, and all of a sudden there's a flute player going and they're like, what's happening here? especially because we used to play with a lot of black metal bands.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we had that sort of black metal, like the harsh vocal, the sort of like heavy stuff. You know, so you get that black metal scene, and we're just like, here's some lovely, nice, lush, lush flutes and acoustic bits, and then a heavy bit. I think some people weren't really sure what to make of it, but
clearly proof was in the pudding. You got the gig, so happy days.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, we did the final show. We recorded it as well because we just did it at Corporation.
I remember it was a good night.
I remember it, yeah. I still like every so often I kind of throw that video on because we basically got somebody to like film it properly and a bunch of multi-cameras. I was like, it'd be nice to have a real record of this is what we were like on stage and this is what it was like live. Rather than just sort of you have like one camera at the back and it's kind of that's nice and everything, but it's like let's give it a bit of dynamism. And yeah, I think I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but I think we were pretty good.
Yeah. I can attest to that.
I keep joking about the 10-year reunion as well. So 2026, mark it.
It's going to be a thing. I look forward to all the teaser campaign. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a bunch of teasers. If I can convince everybody else to come back, we'll do it.
Absolutely. Cool. We have a very triumphant win to start things off with. So do you want to carry on in that vein, or are we going to flip the coin? As seems to be my phrase.
I think I can see a way to connect that to learn. So we're going to do that. We're going to try and bring all these things together.
Sweet.
Journey. So, obviously, you mentioned Powerhouse earlier.
Yeah.
And obviously, with Powerhouse is a band that you started with Rob Richards, Jen Lewis, and Katie Williams. And Katie Williams was the flautist in Northern Oak.
Yeah.
As you are well aware. I'm just explaining this to you for the benefit of your listeners.
Yes, context.
So, obviously, when you ended up leaving Powerhouse and you asked if I would step in, and I was like, yeah, I get to be in a band with Katie again, that's great. Because she's one of the most talented musicians I've ever met, So yeah,
I second that if you're listening, Katie, I second that.
So yeah, the segue here into learning is, obviously, for me, that was a completely new thing. Because Powerhouse is a Ceilidh band. Have you talked about Ceilidh on the podcast before?
Not really, no, because I haven't really. I've dipped into the world of Powerhouse very occasionally, but I'm not really gonna kind of. As my nutshell version of it, I was brought into the Powerhouse fold because I knew nothing about Ceilidh music, but I could write some riffs. And that was the key requirement they wanted of me. Yeah, which is why when I had to move on to other things, that's why I went, well, Chris knows a bit more about folk music. He's in a folk metal band. He's probably a logical pick, so.
You would think. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I know a bit about folk music. I know very little about Ceilidh, and specifically about playing music for Ceilidh.
Yeah.
Because with Ceilidh, it's like folk dancing, and there are specific lengths for each bit. Like things have to be a certain length, and you have to like loop things because people are dancing to it.
Yeah.
And dances are a certain length. There's so many steps and there's so many movements, and it's much more structured than my previous experience, which was. I'm going to write a riff, and if that riff goes on for this amount of times, that's good. That's what I want. Yeah. So I was very similar to you when you joined the band, in that I knew a bit about. I knew how to write riffs, but I didn't really know about Ceilidh or what the structure of it was. So the learn was very much for me was very much like I sort of turned up and was like, cool. I cannot get my head around this. Like the looping aspect of it, and that there's like A and B parts to a tune, and it's this many times, and you have to. Do all this, and then you have to watch one person in the band who will tell you when to change.
Yeah.
Because I was very much used to, you write a riff, you learn it, and it's this long, and you always play it the same length. If you're not playing it the same length, something has gone wrong.
Yes.
Somebody's made a mistake somewhere. So for me, it was very much a learn of like, I had that thing where, when you try something brand new, and you run into a wall, and you're like, what the hell am I doing with this? Like, I don't understand this, I can't get my head around it. And there were definitely some earlier practices where I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I can't get this straight in my head. I can't work out where I'm supposed to loop and kind of get used to that at all. Because it was just such an alien thing for me.
Yeah.
It was very out of my comfort zone. And like, I've managed to sort of get my head around it and kind of work it out. But there's still points where if we're working on a new song, and it'll be like, right, okay, we're gonna just do this bit, and we're gonna loop it from this section. And Bob or Katie will go. Oh, yeah, we're going to go from this bit, and they'll play a bit of a melody, and I'm going, I don't know which bit that is. Like, I don't really hear the melody so much. I focus on like what do I need to play and how long do I need to play it for.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to the melody. I kind of internalise it over time.
Yeah.
For the most part, I'm like, you're doing some twiddly stuff over there. Like, good for you. I've got my own things to worry about here. So there's still points where I'm like, oh God, like where are we going? And I don't know which bit that is.
Yeah.
have to sort of like work through it. So I think that's a learn in the sense of it's a very different way of thinking about music. It's a very different world.
Yes.
You know, from playing metal gigs. Most of the like venues and stage like places that we play are well lit for a start.
Yes.
You know, the stage isn't sticky.
Yeah.
Not used to that. There's a room for things. Like we've got these massive stages where you can, you know, all your gear kind of looks like it's just sort of, you know, like you've got like a very tiny setup. And I'm like, it's a guitar cab. It's quite big, but you know, it's on this massive stage.
Yeah. The thing that really threw me when we started doing shows and stuff was the whole kind of play a song and then we wait. Give the people the instructions. We play a song and now we wait.
Yeah.
That took me a while.
Yeah, like 10 minutes between songs. I'm like, oh, you know, I'll just wander around the stage a bit, you know, like check my phone, and that's fine because I'm so used to, you know, you're doing a performance, and the performance is you've got 30, 40 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it has to be like locked in from start to finish. There's no kind of, you might have bits where someone's talking to the crowd.
Yeah.
But it's like that, you know, you're still on.
Yes.
You're performing the whole time. And you are still performing between songs. I don't sort of finish the song and then be like, all right, I'm going to go and, you know, just slouch on the amp and just look really bored. You know, I'm still kind of doing the performance to a degree, but not to the same extent. And also, did you find that it was really surprising that they got paid?
Yeah, yeah, because obviously coming from, as I talked about with a few people, coming from the metal rock world, it's a case of, wait, you did a gig and you got paid?
Yeah, it's Zangief from the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah.
You guys got paid. You know, that's exactly what it is, yeah. Because like, I think the first gig we did was like it was for the Caneless Society, and then, you know, they got paid. And then afterwards we put all the stuff in the cars, and then someone just gives me a wad of cash, and I'm like, what's this? And I think I literally read it, I was like, what's this for? And they were like, oh, you get paid for doing these gigs. And I was like, let me just take a moment and just luxuriate in this a little bit, because no one has ever given me money. I mean, there were times where we obviously played gigs and like you get some money for petrol or whatever,
yeah.
You know, and the promoter give you a bit of money, but I think, you know, we weren't sort of at the level where we could be like, yeah, this is our fee, you're going to give us our fee.
Here's our rider, here's everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very surreal that someone's went, here you go, here's a bunch of money, and I'm like, cool, well, all right, wasn't expecting that.
Happy days.
I had fun playing a show, you know, that was the goal. So yeah, definitely I think a learning experience of kind of getting started with that and working out how it all works and what that world is like and everything.
Yeah, well, I can definitely say that you're thriving in it now. So top work. And a nice segue into the fact you got a show coming up, haven't you?
We have got a show coming up. We could plug.
Like podcast. We can plug as much as we want.
I didn't come here intending to plug, but I will plug if you want me to plug.
I'm happy for you to plug.
All right, let's plug. How many times can we say the word plug?
I reckon we can plug the word plug a few more times.
Yeah, so we have July the 5th coming up, so in a few months. We have an EP launch show, because we've recorded some of the tunes. Obviously, for the recording, you do them a set number of times, and you do it this length. We've recorded a bunch of tunes, so that'll be coming out July 5th. We've got a launch show. It's at the Crux Social Club in Sheffield, which is where we've played a few times before. You know, you've done Spar Stock there.
Yep.
Very nice venue. So hopefully enough people will show up that it will feel full enough. You know, because with a Ceilidh, you need to have enough people for there to be a dance.
Yes.
You know, you can't just have like, if you've got 15 people, you can't really do much of a dance with 15 people.
No.
But yeah, so it'll be fun. You know, come on down. We play for like 3 hours.
Sweet.
There'll be a Morris spot in the middle, and there'll be lots of guitar solos. It'll be great.
Happy days. And I can do the YouTuber thing, saying links will be in the description. I'm getting all
Link
the
in
YouTube.
Bio.
Yeah, link. I do a lot of link in bio. I spend far too much time on Instagram. But yeah, I can do all the YouTuber cheesy things. Although I've managed to stay away from the subscribe, like, share, all that stuff.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, slap like now if you're a Davey fan. Excellent. Yeah, so yeah, big win in the form of that getting in there purely on the strength of your hard work, and then kind of the falling into an entirely new world and finding your feet. So yeah, very nice. So what's next on the docket then? Are we going to flip back again, or?
I think, let's talk about. We'll do a win. We'll do
cool.
a win. Why not? Yeah. So you mentioned Bal as well in the intro. This is the point where I feel like I have to clarify for people how many bands I'm in, because it's sort of like there's too many. So currently I'm in 2 bands. So Bal and Powerhouse are like the bands that I'm actively in and practicing and playing with. Bal is like a blackened post-metal, sludgy kind of like the new stuff is quite prog as well. Lots of different genres all thrown in, but the essential thing is it's like like sad boy metal.
Yes, I was just going to say sad boy.
Sad boy metal, yeah. Well, it's songs that, I think that sounds reductive, but it's basically the songs are like, they're about, sort of deep subjects. There's a lot of like emotional sort of maturity to it. And for me, I think what's great about it is that it's like, we're giving people kind of a space, like when they're listening to it or at a show, giving them a space to like think about things that are sad and get sad about stuff in like an environment where you can feel supported and sort of like cathartically release some of that emotion. Because
there's a lot of human experience stuff in there, a lot of kind of existential stuff in there, isn't there?
Yeah. There's a lot of like, we sort of try and put ourselves into the songs in a way, like even when sort of Joe obviously writes the lyrics, Joe writes, kind of guides like what the song's about, but then each of us, we all find something to kind of like dig into on that as well and try and communicate that when we're performing it. And I joined the band in, when was it? It was 2020. It was during lockdown. I think it was like July 2020.
Yeah.
Because obviously they recorded the album Ellipsism, and then the guitarist left after that, and then so I was lobbying to be in the band basically because fun story, when they first started out they were looking for a bass player.
Yeah.
And I messaged the original vocalist because he'd been like, I'm looking for a bassist, and so I messaged him and went, oh yeah, I'll come down and try out, like I'd like to do that, and I just never heard back from him. And then Richard Spencer obviously became the bass player. And I would be annoyed about this if Richard wasn't such a nice guy.
He is.
I think I said this to him when I joined. I was like, originally I was going for your job. I'm glad that you got it. But I joined during the lockdown because I lobbied for it, and Joe was sort of like, I think it'd be a good fit. We'd done stuff together with Child of Ash, which is like a studio project that me and Joe have, which is just like black metal, atmospheric black metal.
For those keeping count at home, that's band number 4.
Yeah. Sometimes at least I worry about how many I have on the go. But so I joined during the lockdown, and it was kind of, it was cool to sort of get up to speed with the songs, and like they were kind of Nick was sending me videos of like, here's how to play different riffs and, different bits. And he wrote some very good write-ups of like, this riff, and then I play it this number of times and kind of put a bunch of like just funny stuff in there.
Yeah.
Which is really good for like, you're trying to learn something, and it's like, if there was a bit where it was like, I might do like a pick scrapey thing on this, but I also might not because I'm lazy. Which is great.
Very train of thought, that.
It's very good. But so we did that, obviously. We started playing gigs again. I'm building up to the win here, which was that we did a tour in October 2021, which was the first time I'd done like a proper UK-wide tour.
Yeah.
Like it was 6 days, so it was 6 gigs and 6 nights, and we had a van. We got a van, we got a driver, and we sort of did like a full... I think we went over to Manchester for the first night. We came back to Sheffield just because it was, it's an hour away. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then we, joined the van again and kind of like did the rest of it, like van life, sleeping in hostels and stuff. And it was fantastic. It was a great experience. It was my first time, like I said, doing a full tour, and there was a degree of apprehension of like, am I going to go and like bang my head on the first night and like destroy my neck and then just be a complete husk for the remaining 5 days? And actually, like we got to the last gig, which was in Nottingham, and it was on like a Sunday night, and it was a great show. And we were doing sound check and getting ready for it, and I was like, honestly, I could keep doing this for another week.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of buzzing off. Like I really enjoyed that environment and that sort of, that level of like you're just doing it a night in, night out, and you get really consistent with it.
Yeah.
Because we practiced the set a lot. We did the same set obviously every night.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that level of like, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly when to hit, what to do at what point. And it's very kind of, there's something very satisfying about getting that consistent with it, and like knowing that you can just go on and just perform and like execute it like to that level. That sounds a little bit arrogant, but we have pretty good live reviews. So.
Yeah. And again, I can attest to those. So.
But so that was a big win, I think, in terms of getting to do something that was really cool. It was a really great experience, and just I think good for my personal sort of development as a musician, like having that kind of that challenge of, are you going to be able to do this 6 nights in a row? Not the best sleep, although like the others got worse sleep than me because I snore horrendously. And I feel like after the first night they were like, we're going to kill you if you don't do something about it.
Did you try like the tape and all that kind of stuff?
I think I forgot to take any like sinus clearing stuff, so I got some of that on the first night, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I'll try and go in different rooms, and I'll use a nasal spray, and we'll see if that helps. I think it did. It was fine.
Yeah. Well, you're still in the band, so that's clearly...
Yeah, they weren't mad enough to kick me out.
So where else did you hit in between Manchester and Nottingham?
So it was Leeds, Manchester. We did Stevenage for some reason. We did Birmingham, and we did London, and then Nottingham as well. The London gig was very funny because I should mention the whole tour was with our friends Goza.
Yeah.
Who we were sharing a practice room with at the time. But for the London one, because Goza have a smoke machine, so they use quite a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
And they were midway through their set when the fire alarm started flashing, and like it wasn't going off. It was just like red light flashing next to the sound desk, and the sound guy Cedric, who's the most wonderful human being, he was sort of the driver and the sound guy.
Yeah.
I remember looking at him, and he was just sort of looking at this light, kind of going, it's not my venue. I don't know what to do with this. And there was the promoter, like the guy who was putting it on, was kind of running around like opening doors and trying to, and it was just like you use too much smoke and you set the smoke alarms off, which was quite funny. But yeah, it was a great time. It was very sort of all the way up and down the country.
Yeah.
And it was good. Yeah. Like I say, it was mostly that thing of you in a van and you're sort of just hanging out in a van, and like there's lots of driving, but we had some really good conversations and some good sort of like. And also there was a bunch of times where I was just playing on my Switch, and then Nick was like filming me just doing concentration faces. Yeah, because we videoed a lot of it for we did like a tour diary as well. So we sort of had the camera out and I was like filming people just larking around, and so it was good. It's good to have that and obviously have those memories as well.
And a follow up to that, are there any kind of future ones lined up that you've got, or? So
tour-wise, not right now. We did another tour last October as well, but that was more. We didn't do a full 6 nights thing. We did sort of 2 weekenders. So we did 3 nights one weekend and 3 nights the next weekend, and we kind of split it up. So it was the south of England. So Brighton, London, Cardiff, I think. Yeah, Brighton, London, and Cardiff, and then the next one was the northern weekend, so northern leg. So it was Liverpool, Scotland, and then Sheffield.
Excellent.
And yeah, all great shows. We haven't got any tours lined up now. We've got a bunch of gigs. There's one that's going to be announced tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There's a few things we're going to announce, but I'm not spoiling anything.
No.
I mean, obviously, at the point that this comes out, it will already have been announced. So
Yes.
It'll be in the past.
Yeah, for context, it's currently Sunday night, and this will be coming out either Wednesday or Thursday next week. So
yeah, so it will have happened 2 days ago.
Yes, previously.
But yeah, we've got something sort of in the works because we recorded a bunch of new material last year, and we've got something. We've got like essentially an EP and an album. The EP we've like lined up something for that. The album we're still working out what to do with that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be good. I'm very happy with the music that we've recorded.
Sweet, plenty to look forward to then.
Yeah.
So yeah, another excellent win. So does that mean there is another learn for the other side, or?
There is another learn. Yes, we're going to go up and down.
Yeah.
So we'll close out with the learn. So this one is more just me doing stuff on my own, because there's like we talked about, Final Fantasy VII earlier, so segue there into video game music.
Yeah.
So I'm a big video game music nerd. Like I love it. Like a lot of the songs from games are very much like I'm part of my sort of, I kind of have taken inspiration from them. I love them. There's a whole community of that sort of thing called Overclocked Remix.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it at all?
Only from your involvement in it. Yeah.
So essentially, it's a website and a kind of forum and everything, and the idea is that it's people take songs from video games and then reimagine them in different styles.
Yeah.
So you might get somebody takes like what's kind of like a lush piano piece and then mix it into like a really heavy metal thing, or you might get something that was originally 16-bit bleepy bloopy, and then kind of reorchestrating that as a whole thing, and sort of going, well, what can I do with my my skills and my talent, and like making that a thing. And I've done some stuff with them, sort of with that community in the past, just because it was fun. I was like, I'll challenge myself a bit. I'll try and do some home recording. And I've gotten a few songs on the website, which they have like kind of a barrier for submission, because essentially you do all the work on it and you send it in, and they have a judges panel.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of people who'll listen to it and go, yeah, this is good. We think the arrangement is like, you can tell it's the original song, but you've done enough interesting stuff with it, so it's not just a carbon copy.
Yeah.
The orchestration sounds good enough. It's not just sort of really like low quality and you just kind of bashed it out in an afternoon. And they have a level of like, essentially a quality level of like, it needs to be X good to be posted to the website. And I've got a few things on there that I did that were sort of good enough to get on there, which is quite pleasing. Sort of covering largely like guitar-y based stuff because that's my sort of my forte, as it were.
Yes.
There's one that's for they do albums as well, where it's one particular game, and somebody will go, I want to do an album that kind of looks at. We'll try and get as many people as possible to do tracks from this game.
Yeah.
And we'll try and we'll do an album where it's like different parts of it are themed differently. And there's one for a really obscure SNES RPG called Terranigma.
Okay.
Which I love, and it's just it's such a Japanese game, but essentially the premise is like, you're sort of living in the centre of it's like Hollow Earth theory, there's people living in little villages in the inside of the Earth, and the surface of the Earth is like, barren, it's before history, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And you sort of like go onto the surface and you have to like go around and kind of create like life, basically, so you like kill these monsters that are stopping plants from growing, and then all of a sudden the Earth's covered in green, and then you like do all this other stuff, so the animals come to life, and the birds, and like you're helping shape the course of human history. And it's incredible.
Yeah, sounds like it, yeah.
The scope of it for like a SNES RPG.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. But the soundtrack is very, very good. And there was I did a song for that was kind of more like an orchestral type thing. And I had a lot of help with it. This is building to the learn.
Yeah, yeah.
I had some help with other people in the community who like helped I sort of did the arrangement and then did a bunch of it, and then you kind of went, right, I can take this and make it sound better because I don't have a great level of skill with like classical orchestration and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was, but the end result is just, it's great, and I get emotional listening back to it because there's vocals in there as well. It's like soaring, and it's really, really good. But they did another album for Final Fantasy VIII, which, again, big Final Fantasy nerd, one of my favourites. So I was like, well, I'll do a song for it. There's a song I want to do. I've got kind of an idea of how it's going to work. And essentially, there was somebody who was organising the album. It was quite a long process because a lot, like people, obviously everyone's doing this in their spare time.
Yeah.
People have jobs and kids and other commitments. And so I did kind of a bunch of work on the song. I got Katie in to play some flute for it. I think I got Richard in to play viola for a little bit of it. I kind of put it all together. And I sent it off to them. I was like, they were like, yeah, we're happy with this. This is, we think this is all good. And I was like, great, cool. And then, some time passed and they were getting things together. And someone else sort of took over the project. And then kind of came back with some notes about it. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I can rework it a bit. Did some more work on it. Submitted what I thought would be the final version, and then got a bunch more notes back. And essentially the learn for it here is, like, I basically didn't react to it very well.
Okay.
This was some years ago, and I kind of went, I am sick of this. Like, I've spent ages on this thing. It's like version 8 at this point or something. Like, I've been going back to it again and again and again, and it felt like the goalposts kept moving.
Yeah.
So I kind of, like, essentially noped out and was like, I am done messing around with this.
Yeah.
The stems are in a folder. If you want to do something with it, be my guest. But like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any more on this, and kind of just quit out. Basically, it was in a Discord chat, and I was like, I'm done. I'm deleting Discord.
Yeah. I'm running away.
Yeah, because it was just causing me so much stress. It was something I'm doing for fun, but I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, given you got to version 8, I think that's quite a reasonable thing. It sounds at a glance, it sounds like whoever this new person was. It sounds like you weren't matching the song in their head rather than them going, oh, I like what you've done with that thing. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm not, I've come to sort of think about it over time. Like, I didn't react very well to it, and then, it's obviously you're taking over a job from somebody else.
Yeah.
And someone else might have said this was fine, but you have a different interpretation of it. That's okay.
Yeah.
But the learn was basically like, making music is very much a collaborative thing, even when it's something that you're doing on your own. Like, unless you do everything completely solo and you have nobody else to be accountable to other than yourself, which is the case in some cases. But for me, it's always been much more of a collaborative thing, because I'm half deaf. Like I was born half deaf. My ears are not I'm not at full strength. So I always have this thing of like, I will go, I think this is okay. I think I've like mixed this okay. I think this riff works based on my experience of it. But I very much have that thing of like, but if somebody else wants to tell me that that's not true, that's fine. Your ears are better than mine.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always been a collaborative thing in the sense of getting somebody else to just sense check things and make sure that's okay. So I think the learn essentially is you have to like let it go a little bit. You have to like not have the ego and be like, I might go, I've written this riff, I think it's amazing. And then somebody else might go, actually, all those notes are wrong. This isn't tonal, this doesn't fit with what we're doing, it doesn't match anything else, so it's bad. And you have to not be offended by that.
Yeah.
Because it's not, 99 times out of 100, it's not a personal attack. It's just, we're all trying to make something. You're all trying to make something better.
Yeah.
You're all trying to make a better piece of art as a result of it. And if you get like really het up about it and you go, well, I think it's great, and you're just being mean, then that's kind of your problem.
Yes.
So that the learn was essentially, don't get too het up about things. Like, you want other people to have input on it, so let other people have input on it. There was obviously, I'd done I spent a lot of time on it, and I was sort of like, I've reached the end of my tether with this one.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a middle ground, but it's about being collaborative, and it's about being open to other people's ideas and open to other people's suggestions and not taking them personally.
Yeah.
That's the big win for me. The big learn for me is, is that it's okay if someone tells you your idea is shit. That's fine.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Yes. If they have a reasonable basis for that opinion.
Yeah. It's like, because, Richard Imbal is like a very musical ear, and he will sort of like hear if something is not quite right and go, there's one note was wrong. And like every time whenever I've kind of come up with stuff for Bal and gone, oh, how about this? And he's gone, hang on, change that note. And I've gone, oh shit, this is way better. Oh, it works now. Yeah.
It is always fantastic having someone like that in the band. So with both of that I'm now playing it, Janine, the pianist, is like classically trained, teaches, and she has an incredible ear, an incredible theory.
Yeah.
So she'll be like, hang on, Paul, just play that again for me. Yeah, that one's wrong. I'm like, oh, cool, brilliant, thank you.
That third note was a semitone out.
Yeah, and it's usually only one fret out, but yeah. But the fact she hears it whilst doing all the magic that she's doing, yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to be. I think it's always good to have at least one person in the band who has that level of like musical ear. Because otherwise, if none of you do, you're all sort of like, it sounds all right to us, but who knows?
Yeah, hitting and hoping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So that was the big learn for me. Was like I know it wasn't like a new thing, but it was just sort of a reinforcement of like collaboration is important. It's important not to be, just don't be egotistical about it.
Yeah.
Like, have your ideas and that's fine, but don't be like, my idea is the only idea I will entertain.
My way or the highway.
My way or the highway. Yeah, that's not the right approach.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing this, because those are fantastic. So, just as a last quick thought, if you went back to that overclocked thing again, did anything particular you fancy having a crack at?
Well, I have got for ages. I had something written for ages, which is it's the Final Fantasy VII thing. Because you've played Final Fantasy VII.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, there's a song in that. It's quite near the start. There's sort of the first bit of it is like the bombing mission, so it's kind of like a really fast like kind of a synth thing.
Yeah.
And I have had for a while. I've had written like a death metal version of that. It's like like solos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of wrote it and was like, I can't play this yet. I'm going to have to figure out whether I can, either wait until I can play it or just record everything at half speed.
Yeah.
And then speed it up. But yeah, I'd probably do that because like a death metal version of a Final Fantasy VII song would be at the top of the list there.
That would tick a lot of boxes for you. Happy days.
It really would, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much again for sharing this, and thank you for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone who's been listening at home. Another cracking episode in the books, which I'm very happy to say. So, again, my name is Paul of PTS Music. You've listened to Win or Learn, and we'll be back next week with another guest. So have a grand rest of the whatever time of day it is, whichever day of the week it is, and see you next time. Goodbye!